Former Vice President Joe Biden is holding a comfortable lead over his competition in many new polls. But Bong King Jeffrey Gundlach of Double Line Capital tells our own Neil Cavuto in a Fox Business exclusive that Joe Biden won't be the 2020 Democratic nominee.
I think Joe Biden is kind of like, a placeholder type of candidate. Joe Biden's been running for president for 32 years. He's amassed exactly 0 delegates. So it's almost hilarious that he's called this electable candidate. I think Joe, his time has passed. I have a nickname for him, Jurassic Joe. It's not a reference to his age. It's a reference to the fact that he's a politician from a different era.
Panel, what do we think? Has he, has his time expired? In the politest terms, in terms of the political world, not in terms of age.
That's a great distinction right there. I think his time has passed politically. Because
Thanks, John.
Look at what's going on in 2016 with Miss Clinton. She won the popular vote, but when you adjust for population growth, she had a very apathetic turnout from Democratic voters. Voting was down for her. It was more a referendum on the establishment. We have some very inept people in Congress right now, and Americans are fed up with the establishment, and Joe Biden, whether he's qualified or not, represents that establishment. So I think Gundlach is right here. I think Joe Biden, if he's in this vote, I don't believe these polls. I don't know if the polls are right or wrong, but they certainly have been wrong all the way up till now. I don't know why they would all of a sudden be right. I'm not sure that Joe Biden is not going to be hurt by being an establishment figure.
Well, and I'll tell you, it doesn't really matter. You go back in history and look at the polls. If you go back to June of 2007, Hillary Clinton was beating Barack Obama by double digits, and Rudy Giuliani was going to be the Republican nominee. No, neither of those things happened. And even going back to 2016, when you go through a primary, Hillary Clinton's approval rating went down 27 points from when she first announced to actually when she won the nomination. These primaries, regardless of party, are brutal. And, he's not starting off on a strong foot when he keeps correcting and flip-flopping on various issues, and we'll just see how it plays out.
Yeah, well, Mark, I want to fire back at you because I just wanted to ask what you thought of some of the quotes that came through from Joe Biden in his fundraisers here in New York. Some are calling this the deplorables comments when he talks about the rich and understanding the rich, and they should not be demonized.
Well, I think it just shows that he continues to be out of touch with the Democrat Party, where they right now are all about attacking the rich. And, but then he came around and said the first thing he wanted to do was raise people's taxes. So, all of these things, it's just not a cohesive message as a political, person. It's not coming together very well. I think he's still living off of name ID, and we'll see how it plays out. But they haven't even started taking shots at each other yet. That's just about to start happening, and next week is the first debate.
Mark, you just talked about name ID, so he's got his popularity going for him right now, or maybe I should say a familiar name. What happens if Elizabeth Warren continues to climb up the polls? Because right now she's third if you look at the most recent ones, and you have a lot of the, left-leaning news organizations that are commenting on her plan for everything and the fact that she's researched so much and put a lot of depth and numbers in there, and that she's catering towards the, the smarter voter. What do we think of that, Scott?
Well, it's possible, Christine. I'll tell you, though, Joe Biden is a name, as you mentioned. I love the name Jurassic Joe because he is slow. And the Dems are going to need somebody that can catch fire, that can catch a lot of momentum. And so I agree. It could be Elizabeth Warren. It could be Mayor Pete. I don't think it's going to be Bernie because he kind of has that same deal where he's been around for a while. So to me, Joe is not going to be the candidate either, I don't believe. But I'll tell you, they need somebody that can catch some momentum, that can catch some fire and come out of the ranks if they're going to be able to beat Trump.
Well, what does that mean, momentum, then? Are you talking about let's go against the establishment, let's be anti-socialist? What is it? Because it seems like everybody's fulfilling a certain narrative. Like Susan brought up again, go after, or don't show your allegiance towards the rich. Which one is it?
Well, it's somebody that, that obviously has some position against the rich and the wealthy. I think that's probably the narrative we've heard from the left pretty consistently. Somebody that probably has some sort of environmental plan, but also somebody, Christina, that just comes out of the ranks. In the sense of similar to what Barack Obama did some years ago when nobody knew who he was for the first, few months that he was running, and then all of a sudden he caught fire. So you need to have somebody that's going to really get that movement going, and Joe Biden's not it.
Does anybody else want to weigh in before we switch to the next segment? All right.
Yeah, look, I agree completely with what Scotty was just saying. There's nothing that is inspirational right now with these Democratic candidates. Maybe Mayor Pete. You listen to him talk, he kind of inspires people. Bill Clinton was like that in 92. All of a sudden, he started catching fire. Ronald Reagan in 1979 before 80. There's not that inspirational figure on the Democratic side right now. I mean, it is just the battle of the tallest Lilliputian that's going to get through this primary right now. But to me, it's still up to President Trump to lose. If this economy stays strong, presidents tend to get reelected.